am struck by how terrifying it must have been for you to drop that academic success connection that you had going on with your parents and not be pre-med. No longer are you going to be the successful doctor that everyone's proud of in your family. I'm just guessing that was a big feeling that you held on to. And now you're going to go into, I mean, psychology sounds like a great thing to me, but perhaps you felt to your family, it would represent a kind of failure. You're going off the track. You got poor grades in pre-med. Like,
oh, that was a mess.
yeah, that must have felt so bad. So it sounds like that was part of the beginning of getting to know yourself, is actually being like, wait, this is not me. And the grades are kind of telling me that, and I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah, and one thing I had to sit back when I was failing was really be like, okay, but why am I failing? Because it's not that I don't know, not for other people, don't put other people in this, but like for myself, it was like, it's not that I'm a bad student, right? Because all my life I've been very academically sound. This is my thing. Like, and so what about it before? What before was happening that I was able to, be successful even when things were difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Math has been a difficult subject for me all the time, but I was able to do science and math before and be successful in it. What is happening now that the puzzle piece isn't fitting? And it is really not fitting. I'm really trying to jam it in there and it's not fitting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really sit down and be like, it's not necessarily me. Well, I was like, it's not me that's the problem. It's not like my academic ability that's the problem. I'm trying to, again, force a piece of me into a puzzle that's not my puzzle. Like, I trying to fit this mold and this idea of like what success looks like and where success for me will look like. That's not it. This is not my story. This is not my journey. I need to do something else. And it's funny because like psych was always like calling me a little bit, but I was like, now I need to, I said I was going to be a doctor. This is what I'm going to do. And when I had that conversation with my parents, it was a tough conversation. Lots of tears, lots of questions that I didn't have answers to yet. And that was really hard for my parents to deal with and hard for me to deal with. It's like, I don't have the answers to these questions yet. Like, I don't know necessarily where I'm going to take it, but I need to make the switch and take it somewhere else than where I'm going, because where I'm going is not working. And you can't, if it's not working, don't make it work. Well, don't force something that is so obviously not working for you to work for you just because you think it might, or someone else might think it might. And it was that whole conversation and that process was really just me sitting down with my parents and being like, hey, I can't do this, and I'm sorry if it's, you're just saying like I need to try harder, I need to manage my time better. Like, please realize like the problem isn't that. It's that this is not me. This is not true to who I am. And trust me when I say like I will be successful when I do something that's actually me. And they were like, okay, prove it. And I proved it. And because I was able to finally listen to myself and do what the inner me was telling me I needed to do. And that's where that shift came in.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to finish?
Oh yeah, and I was just like to say like also that was also a part of the process for the other like insecurities that I had too. Like other social anxieties that I was dealing with at that time, and again like my body image challenges was really again pushing against those voices that were, whether it was like with my parents or just like myself and like I guess society a little bit, just really pushing back and being like, all right, this needs to stop, and because it's hurting me, and let me make those changes so that I'm not in a place with people or influence that are bringing me down, and let me start challenging it so I can bring myself up. Right. And I say that like, that sounds very like general, but no, it was like with my mom, I was like, okay, some of these little comments about let's go on a diet, let's lose weight, let's do this, do that. I was like, stop. Like, I want to just be and exist. And like, I'm happy with how I look. Like, take it or leave it. And it was like, it was hard for me to do that at first, being so young. And then, but once I did that, it was like, okay. I was like, thankfully, very like, and it was, well, actually wasn't as just like simple as okay, but once I think she started to see like, hey, this isn't like something I want to hear, and I'm just gonna be good, but on my own terms, she started coming along with me. But if I never took that step for myself, that probably wouldn't have happened.
So I really want to emphasize something that I'm hearing, which is you're not quite making it sound easy. You've emphasized that it wasn't easy, but the moment that conversation that you needed to have, you were mentioning your mom specifically. I don't know if your dad was part of it, but um, it wasn't just like, yeah, this is not working for me. It was tears, like you said. And it was a difficult conversation. And so I just want to emphasize that point that there's two things happening. First is there was some degree of going against the grain that was necessary for you to start getting to know yourself. There's some degree of saying there's a powerful force of authority, my parents, that are telling me that this is the right way to go pre-med. And I've told myself and added fuel to the fire with this idea that this is the way to go. And I'm going to go against it, which takes quite a bit of bravery to do. You know, not everybody instantaneously has that bravery. I would say some people probably go their whole lives and don't have that moment, which hopefully, you know, listening to things like this helps people to, you know, get that little push to try to rebel a little bit more towards the things that you really are. But that was very difficult, what you did, and I can't imagine how. I mean, I can sort of imagine how difficult it was because I had a very similar situation where I was meant to be a star lawyer and, you know, be the good Jewish kid that gets good grades, goes to an Ivy League school, becomes a lawyer, and I didn't get into a good law school. And that was my first. I mean, that was my moment. Like you're getting poor grades in your pre-med classes. It was like something's telling me that law isn't there, but I didn't know it. I was just like, shoot, I didn't do a good job. I should have studied more, something like that. And then I finally had to, I mean, feel the tremendous failure of having to tell my parents, guess what? I'm going to drop out of law school. You know, I wouldn't be able to do justice to how seismic that moment was for me. I mean, it really was the moment of change. I think you took it in a better direction than me in terms of ultimately feeling confidence and that you started being yourself. I just went into a different direction of not being myself and trying to be successful in a way I could do more easily. But my main point is that a lot of bravery is needed and some degree of rebellion is often necessary. That's the thread that I'm learning as I'm talking to you in order to start to figure out who you are, especially as a young person, you know, growing up in late teenage years in your 20s, which is when a lot of that development occurs, when you can finally know who you are a little bit